Spring is in the air and many lovely things are in season right now, like asparagus, of course, and artichokes, and something called Gundelia, or in Arabic, it's called akub. Today, I'm going to show you a dish where I'm going to be using some asparagus and the star ingredient akub, cooked in a beautiful yogurt sauce with meat, and it's perfumed with garlic and cilantro. I'm going to show you exactly how to make it. The very first thing I do is I'm going to saute some lamb. So I've already cut it here into cubes, and it's a leg of lamb, some of my clarified butter, and this is the one that I make at home. And if you want to know how to make it, of course, I have a video. And then I'm going to put in my meat, like so. There's that lovely sizzling sound. Okay. And this step is crucial because it's going to brown the meat, caramelize the surface, and make it first more appealing in the stew, so it looks nicer, it's nice and brown, it's not just boiled. And it also caramelizes it and makes it a little sweeter. Now, I love this dish. As I said, I'm making akub, and I know a lot of people probably have never heard of akub because it's not something that you see regularly, at least in North America. But it is something that is very special in the Arab part of the world, and particularly in the Eastern Mediterranean. It's one of those things that is special. It's a delicacy that happens just at the beginning of spring. I just want you to see, I'm just flipping over a couple of the pieces that have already started to brown. And I cut the meat in small cubes, so it's not going to take very long to cook. And there's no bones, okay, so it's just the meat. And I've used lamb. You can certainly use beef, but lamb has a little bit of fattiness that goes really nice with this dish. So I'm going to add in a couple of onions, chopped onions. I have 1 cinnamon stick, bay leaves, and some cardamom. This is green whole cardamom. So these are the flavors. Now I'm going to add in some water. And I'm just going to put enough water just to immerse the meat. And you'll know because the sizzling starts to get very, very quiet. So I don't want it to be too much water because we're not boiling, we're trying to braise. Now the other flavor that I like to add in here is something called allspice. And allspice, I put in about a teaspoon. So basically that's it. So now I just wait while this comes up to a boil. And the meat has begun to boil, as you can see, and right on the surface here, you can see a little bit of scum starting to form. And those are just a little bit of the impurities that are in the meat. Especially when your meat is fresh, it's not going to be a lot of it, as you can see, but it just makes for a clearer broth. So I try to get rid of as much of it as possible. I'm going to turn down the heat to a simmer. All right, and I'm going to cover it. Just leave a little opening for the steam to escape and just leave it till it's fully cooked. This is probably going to take about 30 minutes. So in the Arab world, we have a lot of dishes and stews that require cooking yogurt. I know that might be unusual for a lot of people because you're used to eating yogurt cold or with sugar or with fruits, but we like it in savory. Here in my pot, I have plain yogurt. Now, this is yogurt that I make at home, so it's fresh, my own yogurt. But, you know, if you don't make your own yogurt, just get some good quality, full-fat yogurt. I've got it on medium heat right now. And what I'm trying to do with the yogurt is I want to stabilize it. Now, if I was to leave the yogurt right now just to heat up and boil, it will actually separate, like it'll curdle. I have some cold water that I'm going to add cornstarch to. Okay, so this is just cornstarch. And I'm going to mix it together with my teeny weeny little whisk. So basically, this is going to be my stabilizer. So I just go ahead and put it in for insurance right away. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit to a medium and just continue to stir. You don't go anywhere, don't leave this, because this requires a little bit of, a little tender loving care. You just stir away, put on some nice music, don't leave the yogurt, because this step is really, really important. It'll actually thicken even more, almost like a custard. Okay, it gets thicker and thicker, and as the heat goes up, it will, start to bubble, but the yogurt will not separate, and you'll know that your yogurt has been stabilized. And then you can add it to stews, and you can add vegetables to it, which is what we're going to do later on in the next step. All right, so now it's time for the star ingredient, and this is the Gundelia, or the akub as it's known in Arabic. It's a little limp right now because I cleaned it and blanched it in hot water and then put it in cold water so it stops cooking. So it's sort of semi-cooked. This looks very innocent right now, but the way it actually looks in real life when you pick it, and it's very hard to forage for. It's actually part of the thistle family. It's got a lot of needles. So it's very, very dangerous, so you have to be careful and wear gloves when you pick it. And people wait for this in the springtime in the hills. It grows on the mountains, and it's very hard to forage for, and people wait for it for the springtime when it's in season. You remove all the thistles, which I did, and it's time consuming, it's labor intensive. And then you cut off anything that's prickly, and basically you're left with something like this. If you're not going to get your hands on Gundelia or akub where you live, the combination of artichoke and asparagus I find works beautifully. My mother used to put just artichoke to make this dish, longing for the dish that she used to remember when she was young in Palestine. Place a couple of the akub in a shallow roasting pan, and then at the same time I have here artichoke hearts. So I don't have a lot of akub. I didn't get a lot in my in cleaning it, but I just wanted to show you that if you don't have this, that this would be a nice alternative. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of that as well. Now what I've done with my asparagus as well is I blanched it in hot water and then put it in cold water so it stops cooking. That's why it's so beautiful and vibrant and green. So I'm just showing you a sample here of these, and then I like to add in olive oil first. So I'm going to generously put in olive oil, or zaytun. Okay, and then my oven is already preheated on broil. So I basically want to caramelize it a little bit in the oven. Now you could alternatively fry this, but I wanna roast it in the oven like I do a lot of vegetables. And I'm going to put in a little bit of my clarified butter as well for flavor, and then I'm going to get my hands in this and just coat everything so that it touches the butter, and it's going to give it a really, really nice flavor. Okay, so I will put these in the oven to roast till they get a little slightly brown, a little crispy on some of the edges. All right, so my vegetables are nice and roasted, all of them together. And now everything just comes together. Here is the yogurt that we stabilized earlier. So I'm just going to add to my meat. And you notice there isn't a lot of water, a lot of stock, but there's enough that it's going to be a nice balance. And I'm going to put in enough yogurt and just give it a good stir. And remember, because we stabilized the yogurt, there's not going to be any problem with it separating. Asparagus is going to go in. My Gundelia or akub as well. So with each bite, with each serving, you're going to get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and all of them just work so beautifully. Okay, so all the vegetables are in now, and I let them just cook gently along with the yogurt to absorb. And here I have the finale, and this is that finish that is sliced garlic with cilantro or coriander in a little bit of the clarified butter. And this goes on top of the stew. And this is what's going to give it that beautiful flavor, that finishing flavor that is indicative of dishes that have yogurt in them or these kind of stews. So the smell is to die for. I have my rice already made, and I'm going to scoop myself, try to get a little bit of everything. So there's the akub, you can see it, sits on top. I mean, I know it looks like a dish that you would probably have in the winter, but because it's yogurt, believe it or not, it's very, very light, and you can only have akub in the spring anyway. Now I'm going to garnish it with a little bit of my toasted or fried pine nuts, and then a couple of pistachios as well. And then I like to bump up the lemony taste because, you know, akub and the asparagus and the artichoke go really nice with lemon. And there's a really nice lemony taste that's in them, and this just adds to it. Let me just get a little bit of everything, a little bit of meat. The meat is cooked that it melts in your mouth, and the akub has that really nice light flavor of sort of like, again, like I said before, it's like an artichoke, a cross between an artichoke and an asparagus. So please try it and let me know in the comments what you think. And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you can get the latest notified every time I cook something new. So enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Bye.